Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you had a good holiday period. And what better way to end it off than to get back into the World League? And, this week was really big. We played Armani and Blinky and got 2-0 victories in both of them. So, absolutely massive wins. And we're sitting up in first right now. Blinky and Constance both have games in hand, so they can actually catch up to me. But, we're looking really good. We are on top. And for next week, no games of mine will be shown on the broadcast because I have the night games, but if you still want to tune into those, I'm sure like Jake or someone will be streaming them. So, yeah, just feel free to join for those Saturday night games. But yeah, let's just get right into the games. We will start off with the Armani game, which, if you're here for the Blinky game, you can feel free to skip ahead again, I guess. But Armani was the first one I played, and it was a good game. I think I played pretty well. But yeah, let's just get right into the moving here. So, yeah, we start off in Spain. We have EP on the sign. Now, EP, I don't know, Spain has a lot of weird highway designations, like the abbreviations, and sometimes they just don't make sense, and sometimes they just don't appear very often. Like EP, I was literally scanning around for an EP and couldn't find like any other one that was with that abbreviation. I assume it's probably Pontevedra, but I could be wrong. I have no idea what it actually is supposed to be. Um, but yeah, it wasn't showing up for either of us, but it just looked like Galicia, this sort of rolling hills landscape. I was like taking a look here around to see. But yeah, it definitely felt like Galicia, kind of a little more green. Lots of eucalyptus. And yeah, I just sent somewhere over there and we get pretty close. It was not too far from Santiago de Compostela. But yeah, again, I really don't know why EP was the abbreviation on the highway there. But we get some points. We will take it as we move on to round 2 here. We have a Canadian highway sign there, a speed sign, and yeah, Canadian tire shop here as well on my screen. But yeah, I was trying to figure out where in Canada we would be. So, we have the Wembley Mall here. I thought Wembley might be a town name. The sign there said BC Liquors, so we knew we were going to be in British Columbia. But yeah, I was trying to see if maybe Wembley was a town. I felt like it sounded familiar, but I don't think it actually ended up being one. But yeah, I was definitely thinking Vancouver Island. I think it generally fit with like the sort of landscape and vibes. But yeah, I wasn't finding it, so I ended up switching just to like the Vancouver area instead. I probably should have kept it in Vancouver Island, but I didn't see anything that fit. Anything called Wembley. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably just a mall name, small neighborhood area or whatever, not an actual town name. But yeah, we go into the next round here. We have a sign there that said Estadio Municipal El Ingenio, and El Ingenio actually ended up being the town name, but I had not heard of it. But yeah, this sort of pole markings over there kind of remind me of Ica. So I click on Ica, but this doesn't look like downtown Ica. So I thought Palpa might make sense, and I just send it. You'll notice on the map, actually, Ingenio is the next town down from there. But, we're close enough. It doesn't really matter. It just fit with the landscape, and I knew we were probably going to be in Ica here. And Armani goes in Lima because he didn't find anything. But yeah, we were able to use some of that Peru knowledge and get a really good guess there. And yeah, you don't want to get Peru against me, obviously. So, looking pretty good as we go into round 4. We are in Brazil here. And a pretty industrial area. And you'll notice there's a lot of trucks here. The trucks are kind of actually not the best clue because, you know, trucks can move around. And I saw several trucks that had different phone numbers on them. One of them had like a Piranha phone number, and then another one had a Sao Paulo phone number. But yeah, I just kept moving. Eventually found this sign that says Cuyaba on it. I wanted to double check because we had so much other conflicting information, but the poles made sense. We have that sort of lamp attachment that you find commonly in Mato Grosso. And so I just sent downtown Cuyaba. It looks like Armani also knew it was Mato Grosso. I think he found a phone number, but he didn't end up sending downtown Cuyaba. And so we do gain a little bit more points there. Actually, very solid points, down to 1188. So yeah, looking good. Still got the flawless, actually. And we go into a Mexico round here. Now, I was pretty confident that this was going to be Tabasco. I think it's a very typical Tabasco here. Check the car as well. Seemed to make sense. And I was considering just sending at this point. But, I mean, it wouldn't really have mattered because Armani found this sign that says Tabasco over here. So, it wouldn't have been big points either way. I think he would have known it was Tabasco anyways. And yeah, I'm just basically moving on because I feel like I might be able to find some more info. And I do actually find some info over here, but it's a little too late to use. Armani's already sent. We have Reforma, which is actually visible on the map here. It's a little southwest of Villa Hermosa. But yeah, ends up not really mattering. We get basically no damage there and just move on to the next round. Alright, next one here. We are in Kenya, but it's kind of a very interesting landscape. You see me looking around. This one seemed like we might not have a lot of info, so a good region guess was important. But it's a very vast open landscape, but we also have kind of more tropical vegetation. So we got sugarcane plantations over here, which was very interesting. Now, sugarcane plantations you'd probably associate with like Western Kenya, but I was struggling to think of somewhere with like this sort of open landscape like this. It's not like super hilly. It's kind of just very open with like some hills in the distance, which I don't tend to usually associate with like the western part of the country. I thought like maybe Nakuru would make more sense with this sort of general landscape. But in hindsight, I don't think you would ever get sugarcane in Nakuru. So yeah, it ends up being a little more west. Me and Armani go basically the same area there. So yeah, not a lot of points. Lose the flawless though, but it's fine. We are still in the driving seat. And we get an Argentina round. With a lot of information, we have immediately at the start a sign for the town name called Los Laureles. And then I believe there was also a sign that said the 1 and the 88, both provincial roads. So I was scanning for those. I knew the 1 was over here in Santa Fe. And to me, it felt like Santa Fe would make probably the most sense, just based off of the landscape. But I wasn't finding the 88 intersection along the road, and I also wasn't finding Los Laureles, which, unfortunately, neither of them ended up like showing up on the map. So we were just kind of looking and not really seeing anything. I mean, I you know, kind of checked Cordoba as well and Buenos Aires, but really Santa Fe was the only thing that made sense, and I just went along the 1 there. But it ends up being basically as far north as it could have been on that road, but it just, the town name didn't show on the map, and the road, the 88, didn't either, so yeah. We could have probably won the game there, but it's fine, doesn't really matter. Neither of us were able to find it, so we move on to this UK round. A lot of cool architecture here. We had some thatched roofs, some interesting brick here, and I'm looking for a bin, but unfortunately that one isn't readable. Bins are usually very useful in the UK because they'll say the regional council name on them, but that one was unfortunately not readable. But I go a little more this way, and then here's another bin, so I try my luck again. And this one I was able to read that it says Somerset, so I zoom in. I knew Somerset was in this area. I think actually I probably should have hedged a little more west. I think Somerset is generally slightly more west than where I clicked, but it's fine. I just kind of wanted to go in quick. But Armani makes a very good region guess here, actually. He goes in Wales, but he is slightly closer than me. And I think with the architecture, Wales definitely makes sense as a guess. So yeah, he gets a little closer than me. So he stays in the game. But, you know, again, I'm glad we didn't lose many points. So we're still looking pretty good. And at this point, Armani knows round 9, he kind of has to start putting a little more pressure in. Can't let me get those 5Ks. And we have a Norway here, a northern Norway. I mean, both of us are going to know it's northern Norway. And Armani actually makes a pretty good guess here, but I use this extra 15 seconds to try and, you know, line up the coast angle and the mountains to the south. And I actually get pretty close there. Basically got the right section of coast, and I managed to barely eke out the victory there. So it was 655, and I got the exact number needed to take out his entire health. So yeah, we get the win there pretty confidently. You know, played pretty well overall. I don't think there were any mistakes in my gameplay on that one. So yeah, looking good so far. And then we go into the no move here. We start off with a difficult one. So this is in Indonesia. Indonesia, a notoriously difficult country to region guess, especially in no move and an MPZ. We have some asymmetrical poles here. We also have a white tag on the side of the pole. And yeah, that kind of clued me in on maybe South Sula, I think would probably have been the best option with that. Obviously, you know, you can find this sort of pole in other areas, but I felt like Sulawesi generally made the most sense, and I thought that northern area, I sent like near Rantepao, which I mean, that's like the area with like the cool architecture, but we didn't see any. But I just felt like that was a good hedge, and we get a really good guess there. It was in the northern part of South Sulawesi, so we pick up some really good points there. Great way to start off round 1, and we go into round 2. Here, Japan, another country where polls can be very useful. So obviously both of us are immediately zooming in on the polls. The main thing that I had to work with here was in Kyushu and then in a couple other places. They have these vertical sort of attachments at the top of the pole. It's just like a little bar thing that sticks up from the pole. You can see it there on that pole and on this one. And in Kyushu specifically, they have holes in them. And yeah, and then I also see this guy wire, which also made sense for Kyushu. So I go in, I'm feeling pretty confident that this should be Kyushu. And so I send, and yeah, ends up being in Kyushu. We got some good points again there. Take him down to 1,000 after 2 rounds. So yeah, looking really confident again. Just really good gameplay there. Not really anything more I could have done. Really, I was making the best guesses I could. So yeah. Next round here though was the US. And this one was a little tricky, but I probably overthought it more than I needed to. So I think with this just, you know, kind of generic deciduous landscape, not any southern pines or anything like that, you'd probably be thinking Midwest here, and just kind of flat, agricultural as well. It definitely makes sense for Midwest. The location ended up being in Ohio, which also makes sense because Ohio is usually a little more forested than some of the other areas. I ended up going in Virginia, which I think probably doesn't make sense. I think you would probably see at least one southern pine, but I felt like it kind of reminded me of some stuff I'd seen in Virginia, so I took a risk, and it didn't really pay off there. Armani goes in Missouri, which I think is a valid guess. I think Missouri and Ohio sometimes look very, very similar and can be very hard to tell apart, so I think his guess actually makes more sense than mine in hindsight. But luckily, we kind of, don't lose any points there, so we're a little lucky in that sense. But yeah, we move on to this round here, and I was looking over there. It seemed like we might have a Danish flag. Like there's clearly a red and white flag there that you can see, but apparently it ended up being in Germany. Now, I definitely thought it looked like southern Denmark. Like that's why I sent southern Jutland, is because I thought the architecture definitely felt kind of more German, and so I sent closer to Germany. But I don't know. I definitely just thought that was a Danish flag, so I didn't even think about going Germany there. To be honest, I was just like, yeah, this is just southern Denmark. But no. So next one here, we move on to a Mexico round. Now the poles and the vegetation definitely kind of felt like Sinaloa, Sonora. We have this sort of like very bushy vegetation. I tend to associate that more with Sinaloa, but Armani actually goes in Sonora, and the guess pays off there. It's a really good guess. I don't know if there was anything there that made him go specifically Sonora. Maybe the car, but maybe he just like knew the sort of vegetation landscape there. So either way, very good guess by him there, taking some points back against us. And we go into a Montenegro here. Now, Montenegro, I mean, it's a small country, but when you're on high multis, it's still worth it to try and region guess. So I was trying to sort of region guess this round. Definitely felt northern to me. I think it kind of feels a little more mountainous, a little more alpine. Definitely less Mediterranean feeling and a little more like temperate. And so I was feeling somewhere in the north, and I kind of went for like this northeast area, kind of near Barane. It ends up being basically near downtown Barane. But yeah, we got a really good guess off there and actually pull out a decent amount of points, getting even down to 356. So we're doing really good. But with multis, anything can change basically within like the span of a round. So it's really important to try and, just play your best through every round. But yeah, on this round, it was actually really unfortunate for Armani because he zooms in on a van that says Bendigo Bank. Meanwhile, I zoom in on this blue sign that says Mildura on it. And so, unfortunately, because Armani was kind of like, he was putting a little bit more pressure on, he was trying to make the quick guesses to not give me time. He just sent because he saw the Bendigo Bank. But unfortunately for him, it ends up being a Mildura there. So, a little bit fortunate on our part, but obviously you should probably trust the sign more than the van. So I'm glad I was able to win off that. But yeah, pretty solid wins overall. Basically, only one mistake I think was like the Sinaloa on Sonora, but like that's not even too bad. So yeah, played really well against Armani. GG's there, and was feeling definitely very good as we go into the Blinky game. So obviously we were second place at this point and Blinky was in first place, so huge matchup here. And yeah, let's just go into it. So moving, obviously everyone knows moving is Blinky's strength, but I had grinded moving all week, so I was really hoping I could kind of play at my best here. And we start off in the UK. We have a sign there, the bus stop, that said Ulster Bus, so I knew it was going to be Northern Ireland. Looks like Blinky found some signs as well, but I go to this sign on the fence here that says Dungannon on it, so I knew I was in Dungannon. And I saw that Blinky had sent, and I was feeling a little bit, cocky maybe. And I was like, why not go for the 5K? You know, show Blinky who's who that I can 5K too. So yeah, I don't know. It was a little cocky. Sorry about that, Blinky. But I just wanted to start off a little bit with a little bit of a bang. Um, yeah, but either way, there wasn't going to be a lot of points. We go into the next round here in Hungary, and pretty tricky Hungary. I think with the architecture, it's pretty obvious that it was probably going to be west. It feels kind of a little more like rich, I guess. But it was not an easy one. So you have some hills there, which is interesting. And I was trying to find any info there. The bus stop, unfortunately, did not have anything on it. I think both of us kind of were moving, but didn't end up finding any info. We're just in a very residential area. No major clues to work with. Oh, Blinky actually finds a lake. I didn't notice that. So he finds the map of the lake. So yeah, definitely knew that it was Balaton. I went near Balaton because I thought, yeah, you could barely see. There was like a little bit of lake visible. But yeah, both of us basically go the same area. We were kind of hedging northeast, probably just because we wanted to hedge for the rest of the country, kind of hedge more central. But we both kind of felt like it would probably be on Balaton there. But yeah, not a lot of points. We go into uh, this Ukraine round. I think both of us immediately knew the road. This road is just very noble because it's a major highway. There's not too many highways in Ukraine, and it's definitely useful to try and know them all. So yeah, we both go in. I go in and guess. Blinky takes a little more time. He's able to find it because, yeah, he actually spends time to try and 5K and gets a very impressive 5K there. So yeah, we both have a 5K on the board now. Blinky gets me back. It's all square and even, you know. So go into round 4 here, an Albania round. Very urban, kind of like a residential area, maybe like suburban in a sense. I felt like with the mountains east, Tirana probably was the most likely option. Blinky goes in and sends, and then I do actually follow, and we both actually end up sending in this town of Kamez near Tirana, and it ends up being right. We both get the town there, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, I think it just kind of made sense with the angle of the mountains and the angle of the road as well. So yeah, we were both able to narrow it down pretty quickly there in a small country like Albania. And now we go into a very big country. We go into Russia. But we both knew the road. We both knew it was going to be this area near Elista in Kalmykia. But we just had to kind of find where exactly along the road it was going to be. We had a few bodies of water and kind of this curve in the road. And unfortunately for me, actually the first place I ended up scanning, I think, was the right place, but I kind of just, went right over it. I was like, no, nothing here makes sense. And so I start scanning more east mostly. Like I go all the way to Astrakhan here, which really doesn't make sense in hindsight. I think I could have gotten the 5K there. Blinky, obviously, very good at pinpointing, even in no move sort of rounds. And obviously, he's going to pull out the 5K there. So, yeah, not what you like to see. That was definitely a big mistake on my part. One, for, giving Blinky the time to go and pinpoint that. But two, because I think I definitely should have also pinpointed that myself. But yeah, we go into this Italy round here. I move a little bit to the south, but I don't actually see anything. So I go back to the north here. But I probably should have continued going south because Blinky does actually find a sign here that says Trento. Trento is a town in in that part of Italy, the northern part of Italy. And I mean, I knew it was going to be northern part of Italy because it was very mountainous. But region guessing the Alps can be very difficult from like east to west. I ended up going near Trento, which yeah, I'm very happy I was able to actually, basically region guess where Blinky sent without finding info. So yeah, really good there. But I mean, really, it was just landscape. We knew it was going to be the Alps, and so I ended up, fortunately sending the right area there. And we go into this New Zealand round. Obviously, round 7, I'm a little bit behind, and New Zealand is kind of a tricky country for pinpointing a lot of times. But I saw here that we had these black bollards. So New Zealand usually has red bollards instead of black. But you find black ones in Wellington. And I was like, you know what? I might just have to just send at this point. It was unlikely I was going to find anything. And I think Blinky went the other way and maybe didn't notice the black bollards. And he just goes he goes North Island, obviously, because it looked like North Island. But he just kind of hedges a little more centrally. And we do pick up a little bit of points there because we knew it was going to be in Wellington. So yeah, pulling it back a little bit, it's definitely not out of our reach, especially with multipliers. And all you need is just another rush around like this. And this round was really something. So we're kind of in this industrial area. Really don't have a lot to work with in terms of signs. We're trying to look at the antenna and also the smudges in the sky, because with this specific antenna type, there are different smudges that can like tell you the region. Blinky actually is able to find a sign here, but I think all of those places kind of don't really show up on the map. And yeah, I've never heard of them. I know Jake didn't hear of them or hadn't heard of them on the broadcast, so yeah, we weren't able to find them. But yeah, I was just kind of trying to move as well. I didn't end up finding anything. I did see a smudge here, and I was trying to tell which smudge it is, and I wasn't sure. I thought, okay, it might be the Chelyabinsk-Orenburg smudge, but then I also switched last second to where Blinky sent in Altai, because I was like, oh, wait, it might be that smudge actually. But luckily, my guess doesn't end up registering there, and it ends up working out for me. That was definitely more luck than actual skill there, because I had no idea if it was actually Chelyabinsk or Altai. But yeah, it just ends up going my way. I was really just surprised more than anything at that point. But I was like, okay, I gotta ride this high, gotta play my best, and I know I can play my best in the no move, because that's what I'm definitely strongest at. And yeah, we just gotta keep going at this point. So we go into this no move round. We got Thailand. Thailand. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good at Thailand. I feel like compared to other people, I know a lot more about how to like region guess Thailand just based off of like vegetation landscape. And I actually managed to get Fitchit correctly here, which is not easy. I feel like Fitchit is usually that one province in the west that looks a lot like eastern Thailand, like Isan. So yeah, I feel like I'm really happy that I was able to get that, but that definitely wasn't an easy round. So yeah, good start on the no move. We go into this round here. It's hard to read from the broadcast, but it does say Ball State there. And for some reason, I couldn't remember what Ball State is. I was thinking of Kent State, and so I zoom into this part of Ohio. But then I see on this sign here that there's actually like an Indiana outline on that marker. It's like a historical marker or something. And so yeah, I end up actually being able to find Ball State last second in Muncie. I was laughing to myself a little bit because I was like, why am I searching in Ohio? Why do I not know where Ball State is? Ball State is just such a like funny name for a college that I feel like it's like one that I should have known where it is, because yeah, it's just Ball State. Like yeah. But yeah, we end up finding it, so that's good. And we go into this Turkey round. which I definitely, my original thought was Kayseri here. You can see I immediately zoom into Kayseri. I don't know how to explain it, just the landscape. Also, this like fall coverage kind of reminds me of that area. But I wasn't sure what would line up actually. I couldn't really find anything, so I moved towards Kahramanmaraş. Um, I'm kind of on the border at this point. But I was definitely pretty confident that would be somewhere in that area. Looks like Blinky also starts in Kayseri, but then he's also considering more east. And yeah, it looks like he sends slightly more east. But yeah, I was pretty confident on Kayseri there, so we do get a little bit of points there. Even though I didn't send in Kayseri. But yeah. I don't know actually if there's coverage like this in Kahramanmaraş. Maybe Jalochus will have to tell me. But yeah, either way we pick up some points. We go into this Norway round. We have very short trees, you know, very typical of like either a high alpine area or just northern Norway. Sometimes it can be very tricky, but I kind of was thinking, I was leaning more towards northern Norway here with the landscape. I didn't want to send too far north. I didn't think it looked super northern either, but I haven't really looked at the new 24 fall coverage, so I don't know exactly where it stretches. But yeah, we were I think we were both looking at a very similar area on the E6 over here. It looked like a very major road for northern Norway, you know. I think we're on the same section of road at this point. So yeah, we're just kind of looking for something that made sense. This area sort of lined up, you know. We're in a valley of sorts with that major road running through. Ends up actually being basically on Lofoten. I think that's a difficult Lofoten. But yeah, it wasn't any points there. We both make basically the same guess. And we go into an Indonesia round here. Very difficult Indonesia round. As Jake also said on the stream, you know, you have a lot of these planted plants here, like a lot of palms and other weird vegetation, but none of it is actually useful. Like you can't really tell anything. And the architecture is also very interesting. I have no idea if this is like regional in any way, these roofs, but they're definitely not something I've seen before. So I really wasn't sure what to make of that. But I saw over here there was like a pretty flat area to the south. And also we had these kind of like rock walls. If you see on the like to the north, we had like this yellowish colored rock wall. And so I kind of was thinking like maybe it would be Sumba or like Rote and Dao or, you know, somewhere around there. But I mean, yeah, I didn't really have a really good guess here. I end up going in Sumba, and it ends up being an East Kalimantan. Like, I really don't know like if there was anything there that I could have used for that. It was just kind of a really random place. It wasn't near anything really. I don't even think it was near Nusantara. Like I feel like yeah, maybe like with all of this like new sort of architecture, it could have made sense to be near Nusantara, but I don't think there was actually any relation to that in that location. But yeah, we go into this Chile round. We knew it was northern Chile, very dry landscape of the Atacama Desert. Blinky, I think, actually knew the road, which is very impressive. I did not know the road, but I felt like I kind of had a good region guess here. Ends up being good enough, you know. We don't lose a lot of points there. And yeah, we keep ourselves in it. We're definitely still ahead at this point. So looking good. In a good position to pull out the 2-0 victory. And we go into this Australia round here. Now, I think most people who saw this would have probably been like, yeah, this is just an easy Taz. I know Jake called it on stream, I think. But I think what confused Blinky was that the copyright was actually 24. And I know there's like 24 light blue exactly where he sent over there, like that coastal area south of Sydney. And I think he just kind of rushed it. He knew he was behind at this point. He also knew that he was like already down a game and yeah, I feel like maybe like the nerves or the pressure got to him a little bit on that round. I think any other time he probably would be getting Tasmania there. But, we pull out the victory. We get the 2-0 win, which was huge because, that's like a massive, what's it called? Like when it's like a 6 point margin, right? And like I get the 3 points, whereas Blinky doesn't. That game could have been a massive game in terms of the overall standings. And so to get 3 points there was huge and puts us in a really good spot now. Very confident that we will get in that top 12 and maybe even go for that first place. Obviously, getting a win over number 1 will be very helpful in doing that, but we still have to try and get some more wins. Just, I feel like I've been getting a lot more 2-1s than Consus and Blinky, and that's kind of been a little bit of my downfall at this point. I just need to try and get those 2-0 victories, but it's very hard because there's a lot of good players, so I try my best, but obviously I'm doing very good. So yeah, either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Yeah, this one was a really good one, and obviously stay tuned because there will be more great videos, more great games, I'm sure, in the following weeks. I think I play Consus in February, so yeah, stay tuned for that. Definitely will probably also do a highlight video for that. Yeah, just I'll see you guys whenever I do the next review, so see ya.